Which training split is the best? It's an age-old question, a lot of opinions, and the bottom line, at least in my opinion, is whatever split is giving you the maximum results. Where are you getting gains? And that should be the program for the most part that you stick with.
TikTok, all stop.
Okay, let's get into it. The age-old question, which training split is the best? I'm a power lifter, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm looking to compete primarily. Which program, which training split gives me the best results? Very simply, it's whatever your body responds to the best. Where are you getting the most gains? I've learned in over 4 decades of doing this that the body adapts very quickly. And while my preferred method is a 2-on, 1-off split, especially in competition prep time, the bottom line is my body gets to know what's coming and it's not going to respond as well if I don't mix up those splits. So in the off season, heck, I might train 6 days a week with a cardio day mixed in there in the middle. But I'm a firm believer for proper recuperation of the body that the 16 or so weeks that I'm training for a show, I love that 2-on, 1-off split. And sometimes I'll implement a 3-on, 1-off split. I'm a Saturday leg day guy. I know there's a lot of us out there, and for years, Saturday heavy leg day has been sort of, the golden rule with me. I do not like training legs during the week. I work so much and so hard that I just don't feel like I have the mental or physical capacity during a weekday that I do on a Saturday and even a Sunday. I mean, I've trained legs a lot on Saturday as well. But when I design a program, I design the training split around what my leg day is. So something I've done a lot, especially in the last 3 years with all the, I think I've hit 7 or 8 shows and got another couple scheduled for 25. I will train on Monday, Tuesday, take Wednesday off, and then train Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and take Sunday off, with Saturday being the leg day. So that's a 2-on, 1-off, 3-on, 1-off split. That's my favorite, but I also see in doing that my body adapts very quickly and knows what's coming. If you're like me, I am not nearly as effective in training legs during the week as I am a weekend, especially a Saturday. And I don't know, maybe it's psychological, but I just feel like that I am more mentally and physically rested and capable of pushing heavy weight and getting a lot of good volume in on a Saturday as opposed to a Sunday. And isn't it weird how the mind will sort of dictate what we feel most comfortable with in just looking at 2 weekend days? If you're like me, if you have church on Sundays and you have a meal after church and, you just feel, sort of lethargic as opposed to Saturday, I really like getting up in the morning, and maybe having a relatively high carb meal, wait a couple hours and then go hit legs, on Saturday, somewhere around 11 or 12 o'clock. That's my best case scenario. But I also find with that the body, with the other body parts especially, just adapts more quickly to that constant 2-on, 1-off, 3-on, 1-off split I just talked about. So, there's a lot of advice, there's a lot of opinions out there. I'm interested to see what your splits look like, especially if you're like me and you compete. What do your competition splits look like? What days are you training? What days are you off? What body parts are you hitting together? And on your days off, are you doing anything? The 2-on, 1-off, 3-on, 1-off split I keep talking about, which gives me Wednesday and Sundays off. Wednesday is a heavy cardio day. I generally hit an hour of cardio on Wednesday, and pretty much the same thing with Sunday. Sunday is generally another hour cardio day, and especially once I get into 4 or 5 or 6 weeks out from the show, I feel like those extra cardio days are of more value. Generally only getting about 30 minutes of cardio in on those 5 training days and doing that as a split as well, where I'm double splitting cardio, generally in the morning fasted, and training in the evening. You know, there's a whole nother debate about fasted cardio. I'm not going to get into that here because I've read a lot of studies. I've done it all different ways. I personally feel like I get more lean when I do fasted AM cardio, especially an hour fasted in the morning. I look back at shows from like 2021 and 2022 when I did an hour fasted cardio in the morning and then trained either late afternoon, early evening, and I was more lean in both of those shows, and all things being equal with diet and so forth. So anyway, that's a video for another day, talking about training splits today. What do you guys do? Whether you compete or not, and if you don't compete, you know, what does your training look like during the year? And do you break it up? And do you have periods of time in the year where you're trying to build mass? Do you have periods of time in the year where you're trying to cut? Do you do that frequently? There's a lot of content out here, a lot of programs, you know, with people, whether they compete or not. They have a mass building season, if you will, and then they have a cutting season. You know, I mean, okay, I sort of get that, and I think a lot of guys do that every year. And okay, I mean, to each their own. I really don't see the purpose of that. To me, if you don't compete, the best program is one in which you stay as lean as possible and are able to gain as much strength and size as possible without all of the mass building and then cutting. That's just me. You know, I've competed for so long that, you know, I'm either in two different modes. I'm either all season, where I'm working to gain muscle and to gain size, or I'm in a contest prep where I'm attempting to maintain as much muscle mass and strength as possible, but I'm trying to trim body fat down below 8%, which is not easy. So what do you guys think? What do your programs look like? Share your ideas, share your suggestions with me. You know, do you do whatever your routine is? Are you on a push-pull? Are you on a reverse push-pull? Are you on an upper body and then lower body routine? I've done them all. You know, I still am kind of an old school push-pull guy. A lot of times I will train chest and triceps and then back and biceps together. And then sometimes I do reverse push-pull. It kind of, you know, whatever my body's feeling and so forth. But I do like to go into a contest prep with a plan for, you know, for 16 weeks to where I'm going to do this. You know, these 6 weeks I might change up and tweak a little bit, or my coach might say, hey, we need to change this up. But that generally only involves maybe the addition or subtraction of a particular movement, maybe a rep range. Obviously, the closer I get to stage day, I'm going to add more reps in, and also minor tweaks in a diet, whether they are planned or unplanned. You know, every prep is different. Anybody who's been on stage knows that. And if you look at the top pros, if you look at the Olympia, take Jay Cutler, for example, 2009, you know, whatever he did, it was dialed in and perfect. And as Jay will tell you, he had seasons and years before that where he was not as dialed in and perfect. And that's another amazing thing about the body there with preps, that for those of us who have done, you know, years after years of preps, how differently our body can look on stage day, just depending on so many variables, you know, training splits, water, sodium, you know, diuretics if you're into that. I'm not, they scare me to death. That's just my opinion, but there's so many factors and just small variables that can affect the way you look on any particular given day. So again, just interested in learning what you guys do, what's been effective for you, any hacks you have in that. I'm a little old for that word, but it's a pretty common word. So yeah, share with me in the comments, you know, your splits, your routines, what works best for you, and especially if you compete in bodybuilding. I'm really interested to hear, you know, what you're currently doing, what has worked for you in the past when you've been on stage, and where have you received your greatest gains and be able to maintain those. One other quick point is something I'm interested in is once you come off stage, once competition day has come and passed, what does your general routine look like from there? Do you take a week off? Do you jump straight back into a kind of a power mode and a mass building mode? What I generally do is I'll come off stage, I'll have a good cheat day where I'll eat everything in sight, gain 6 or 7 pounds, kind of get over that. And then usually that following, middle part of that next week, I'm kind of back into the routine of, trying to eat clean, and trying to start, gaining mass and size again and strength, with a little bit of heavier weights, and still some good volume. So, what are your thoughts there? Always interested to see what other people are doing, especially if it's something you've been successful with. Thanks for watching, and look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a great day.